The first thing I'd like to actually show you right now is the one and only Spahn Ranch chess set that I made myself. I made a chess set. Everything on this chess set is from Spahn Ranch, is a relic of Spahn Ranch. I'm talking about everything on this set, from the board that it's on, all the pieces are Spahn Ranch pieces, and I'll go through that right now. And here is the chess set itself. So, as you can see here, here is the one and only Spahn Ranch chess set with pieces all from the ranch. And I'm talking about like this, I guess it would be the rook. This is a 45 caliber bullet. Each one of the rooks is a bullet. So you have actual bullets that were here. Each one of these is a bullet. The pawns for this side are these are like, looks like hooks from saddles, possibly. The pawns over here are all light bulbs from, I guess, from George Spahn's house or the Longhorn Saloon. They're all melted from the fire, so those are all the pawns. Drill bits with bottle caps. I'm not really too familiar with a lot of the names of the of chess pieces. I know there's the king and queen. This is the horse. This is what the castle would be, and I can't remember. This is the rook, I guess, the one that goes sideways. These are drill bits. So those are actual drill bits. These are pieces of plumbing that are used for the horses. The king is just a bottle, and you flip it upside down. It looks like a little crown. So you can put that right there. And this is kind of weird. I'm not sure what this is. Some kind of weird thing. I remember when I posted this the very first time years and years ago, everybody kept saying it was Sadie's butt plug, but I don't know what that is. So this is, and even this, with the board, this is a sign that was at Spahn Ranch, and I just drew on the chess set. So this is the one and only Spahn Ranch chess set that I made myself right here. This is it. This is the only one you're going to get. Right next to it is the one and only Spahn Ranch patch. That is, if you're in the Stoner Van Houten group, you can get a patch. We've given out, or we've actually sold a lot of these. These are very nice patches, a Spahn Ranch patch. These are only for group members, pretty much only. So now, with that said, this is the very only one and only Spahn Ranch chess set, which is really awesome. Now, to the right over here, I can get a little more light. Now, from here, you can see I have laid out all kinds of stuff. So, and this won't be on the floor, once I get everything all set up. But we got all kinds of stuff here on display, and we're going to kind of go through everything a little bit at a time. Not too detailed, but just enough to give you an idea of what we're looking at here. Now, the one thing people always love at Spahn Ranch are the horseshoes. I have 4 of them. I used to have a little bit more, but back in the day when I was broke, I got rid of a few of them. And you can see the different size horseshoes. This is a huge one. George Spahn was known to have owned a horse that was really huge that he would rent out for movies. And one of them, there was a Mickey Rooney movie where he comes into town riding this huge horse. And Mickey Rooney, if you know who he is, he's a very small actor. The horse that he comes riding in on was actually George Spahn's, and he had rented it for that movie. And it was a big, big horseshoe, possibly even as big as this, and maybe, who knows. But these are actual horseshoes that were at the ranch. This is an ashtray from a dune buggy, from a VW bus that was turned into a dune buggy. Here is a can that I'm telling you about. Now, people, the number one question, see how that's a pull tab. That's a pull tab required right there. Now, here's actually the number one most common question that I get asked the most is, how do you know that the stuff that you get from Spahn Ranch is really from Spahn Ranch? And that's a great question. Now, think of it like this. The ranch burned down, what was it, September 21st, 1971? Since then, the ranch hasn't the land has never been built on. Nothing else has ever been there besides the ranch. So it wasn't like it burned down in 71 and then it turned into a gas station or something else or a coffee shop and then that burned down or got rid of. It was never anything else. So the only thing that you have to consider is possibly in the last 48 years are people illegally dumping their trash, which at Spahn Ranch I could see that, and I do take that into consideration. But it's a lot easier if you just travel up the road towards where Dune Buggy Graveyard is, and you can dump your trash there, which people do because it's a lot steeper of a hill. And if you had like say a washing machine in the back of your truck, you could pull up to the edge of that and then dump it over the side. Where at Spahn Ranch, even if you pulled up in front of Spahn Ranch with the truck with your dryer, say you wanted to illegally dump your dryer somewhere, you'd have to get that thing and then get it out of the truck and then literally take it over, and you'd be able to dump it right on the side. You'd see a bunch of trash. It'd be very easily for the people that live there, the church people, and plus myself and other people that go there, to see that, and I've never seen that. So, and plus everything I've found has actually been I'd say about 3 to 4 feet, maybe even 6 feet deep. I take all that stuff into consideration. So let me just show you some more stuff real quick. That's actually a piece from the Corvair. I think it actually is the motor for the windshield wipers. Now, see how they have the can there with the... that needs a church key right there. You see how there's 2 holes right there? That's a church key right there. And I've actually found some, and that's what you would need right there, is one of those to open that up. And we'll get to that in a minute. Hey, see, we got the... Now, those bottles right there of that particular root beer, you can look that up. You can... Anything that has a name on it, you can look up. This, as a matter of fact, that right there is from the Hollywood Hills Watering Company that isn't even around anymore. That's a bottle from the Hollywood Hills that I found. So in the hills of Hollywood, they actually had a water company that they used to, bottle their own water, and that's an actual bottle from that company. Let me see if I can show you this real quick. I don't know if you could see that, but it says, if I get rid of that glare, from the hills of Hollywood. And it sounds weird that people are like, why would you want a big piece of glass like that? Well, that company isn't even around anymore. Something like that from the ranch, that looks like maybe possibly from a wheelbarrow or something. All those hinges from doors. From the ranch. That's a hinge from a door. Not sure what that is. This looks like a speaker. Look underneath here. That looks like a piece of a car. I don't know. I mean, it's amazing what some of the stuff is. Like, look at this. Big lock on it. Piles of nails. It's funny because a lot of people always want nails. They want like some dirt, and can I get some nails? I've got so many nails here from the houses and stuff that it's just amazing. Look at this. This is a sprinkler head. It just got melted in a fire. That's a sprinkler head right there. That's also, this is what a sprinkler head too. You could see it's melted, but the water would come out of here. That got melted too. This is from the top of when the poles where the electricity, where the wire is, they put them on top. This is probably from the ranch, where because they had a couple power poles up there where the wires are. Now I think they're made out of rubber. But back then they would use these. Now, I've actually found a lot of tools, which is rather interesting. And now these tools right here, I'm not even sure what this is. This could be like a soldering gun or maybe some kind of electrical prong for the cattle. It's got some wicked wires on the end of it. Possibly a soldering gun. You can see some of the hammers. There's another hammer. Obviously the wood part of it, after 48 years, just, disappeared. There's a lot of different, those are, what are drill bits. So you can tell right there, it's a big drill bit. This looks like some wire cutters. Some kind of cutters. Not sure what that is. More drill bits. Another drill bit. These are the church keys, which can openers, which would have opened up the beers and any kind of can back then. I think pull tabs weren't even invented until I think late 69, or maybe 70 or 71. I'm gonna have to look that up, but I know pull tab. You can look stuff. See, that's what you do is when you have stuff, you have to do the research on it. So you get the can and go, well, when did they invent pool tabs? And I think that came in 1970 or 69. When did they go from the church key, to the pool tab and stuff like that. So these are stuff that you can look up. And this is what you needed at one time to open up a can, which I'm going to show you right here. Here's a perfect example of that. See, so you would have to, and look how that fits perfectly right there, and it goes right in like that. You get the ones for air, and then ones for drinking. So this one you drink out of, and then this one you open this up right here for air. You would need this. This is called a church key. You would need this at the time to open this up. Whether it was a drink or a beer or an oil can or whatever it was, you would have to have a church key. And then later, in the 70s, you had what was called a pool tab. And that's what a pool tab looked like when they first came out. They were small at one end and then very big at the mouth. So the beer or whatever was in there, the beverage can get into your mouth. So these are different tools, such as, wire cutters and some kind of other cutters and some kind of, I don't know what that is, some kind of cattle prong or soldering gun or something. Some hammerheads, some more tools, some more... I forgot what those things are called. The drill bits. Oh, here's something interesting. These are buckles. These are belt buckles. You flip it over, you can see that's a belt buckle. That's a belt buckle. Whose are these? I have no idea. Maybe they're, I think George Spahn, did he wear Chad Sandiford, if you're watching this, did George Spahn ever wear a belt buckle? Or it could be from one of the cowboys, or maybe from one of the ranch hands. You can clearly see that this is a belt buckle. There's a hook right here. This is where the belt would go through, right there. You can even see a design. It's so rusty, but you can even see a design on the end of it right there. I don't know what that stuff is. Oh, now this is interesting. I actually found a boot, a cowboy boot. And whose is it? I have no idea. But there it is. It's rather small. So who could possibly wear this? I don't know. Maybe one of the girls. I think there was a story about Leslie Van Houten used to dress up like a cowgirl and give tours of the ranch, which I just think is absolutely cute and amazing. But this is a boot that I found. Here is another shoe that I found. And then this is another shoe right here. And it's a bit hard to see, but you could see it is someone's shoe. Now, I know what you're probably thinking, like, well, how do you know? And there's some old leather, petrified leather with the holes in it. How do you know whose shoe that is? Now, you're right. Like, whose shoe is that? Well, like I told you before, there wasn't anything there before. There, it was a ranch. It's always been a ranch. Now, could some of this stuff be Frank Rich's stuff? Look, I don't know. I think Frank Rich was a little bit more tidier than that, and he probably, kept more of his stuff at his house. Besides maybe some of the Bob Wire and other stuff around there, that might be Frank Rich. But as far as this looks like it's regular ranch stuff that you would just see on the ranch. Like this is the horse. You got the cowboy boots, and you got these like little hooks. And there's the latch right there for a window, maybe at the Longhorn Saloon, like a window latch, right there. These hooks and stuff are probably on saddles. All those little latches right there that you see, those are probably, at drawers that opened up little drawers at the Longhorn Saloon, so that you could probably open up a drawer, a little something with that. These are all, handles for drawers right there. So, all that kind of stuff. Plates that I found. I don't even know what that is. Different kinds of, see, even stuff like this, like that milk thing. You're like, well, why would you collect that? Well, because you can look that company up. As a matter of fact, that milk carton company right there, that company went out of business, I think, in like 1970. And I found that at the ranch. So if I find a product like these at the ranch, it helps me date stuff, because if that company went out of business in 1970, well, then all that stuff could have been possibly at the ranch, because they must have bought it. So maybe they bought that milk there, and maybe this cream for whatever the hell it's for, and this cottage cheese, the Arden stuff, and so it's when you find anything, you always have to look at the underneath for any kind of sign, any kind of date, any kind of company name that can help you figure out or date something. That's the best thing. Let me show you some of the Manson rock that's there. You can clearly see that there was a diamond cutter slicing through those rocks. Whether it was Frank Ritz or the church, I have no idea. But that's what those are right there in the back. And see, there's a nice big slice right there. And there's another can that needs a church key. See? A lot of electrical stuff. This looks like it was some kind of sliding door, maybe George Spahn's door for one of the closets. This looks like it could possibly have been the doorbell to George Spahn's house. There's the doorbell. There's a spike right there. These look like car parts. That kind of looks like something that you'd use to step on a wagon wheel with. And a lot of this stuff here you can make stuff out of, like like this thing I just made into a candle holder. I'm not even sure what it is. But you can make stuff out of it. I'm like, hey, I'm going to put my Halloween candle thing in there, and that kind of works out really nice. There's that little wheel. Look at this big hook. This thing's pretty heavy. A lot of plumbing stuff. There's a tire from the truck that I dug up a little bit. There's actual wood, the color of the original paint. You see some of it was blue, some of it was white. There's some of that, and there's some of this. What else we got back there? Oh, this is interesting right there. That's a plate right there. And you see that the hole on it, you can just, that's like for, once you're done cleaning it, you can hang it up on a cabin. That looks like a headlight to a VW right there. Look at that, for the, looks like probably for a car. There's a lot of this stuff. This is the most common thing that you could find at Spahn Ranch, like these things for buildings. So I got a lot of that. Now we're going to get to some interesting stuff right here. And that is the bullets that you can find, that I have found. Now, right here is a small collection of different kinds of bullets. So these have exploded. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 bullets, 4 slugs, and 3 shotgun shells. So right here we have some slugs. Here are, now I was told that these were blank, so these could have been possibly used during the filming of a cowboy movie, because they're, I was told by Pete Porteous, because the edges are rounded on the inside of them, that these were blanks. So these could have been possibly used in a movie. Here's the 2 most famous bullets that everybody wants. I actually have 2 of them only. One's a long and a short 22. So a 22 short and a 22 long. And I only have 2. And then I got some 45s. See, these exploded right here. Exploded 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 exploded, 7, 8, 9. So about 9 of them have exploded. These 4 are in pretty good shape. 2 blanks. 2 22s, 4 slugs. Shotgun shell. 2 more shotgun shells. And that's all the ammo I've actually found there. Other people have found stuff. You can go with a metal detector, and people have done that. So, who knows. Here's some more original wood. Here's a nail hole, the color. Now, a lot of the... Okay, now here's something interesting I'm going to show you. We call this melted artwork at Spahn Ranch. Now, you can actually take a lot of this stuff, and you can make it into stuff. Like, I made this, this little holder right here. Now, let me show you this red thing right here. You see that? That's actually, I found a ring at Spahn Ranch, a gold ring with a diamond in it, and this was on top of it. I kept this part that you can see right here, and there's pictures on the group and in my website, and on my Facebook page that you could see this thing. I kept this part. I sold the ring. A jeweler gave me $125 for the ring, and I just kept this part. It was melted. It could have been, I don't know, I found it where George Spahn's house would have been, or was actually, I should say. And this is all I have left. Now, where the ring came from, I have no idea. Who knows? It could have come from creepy crawl or this or that or whatever. But anyway, since the fire was there, a lot of glass and other stuff and metal were melted. So we like to call it melted artwork. So you could take something like this. This is kind of cool. Like this thing was like a jar. It melted. It was some kind of like lid, and then you can just turn it around. And look at that. See that? See how cool that is? You could put a little picture in it and put this on your desk. Like that. And it works out like that. You can make like little things like that. Like this. This thing was melted at one time. And you can do stuff like that. Like I made a little Leslie Van Houten thing right here with one of them. So it's kind of weird. It's that's what we call it, just melted artwork. Now here's some more stuff that I found at George Spahn's house. A toothbrush and some medals. Check out these medals. This is kind of weird. I'm not even sure what these are. The bird on it. There's 2 of them. It looks like a salt shaker right there. See that? It got melted into this glass. Maybe George Spahn's salt shaker. There's a hanger. There's some zippers. The marble, okay, I'll tell you what, the marble probably isn't from the 60s. I just happened to find that at Spahn Ranch, which I just thought was funny. Or maybe it is. Who knows? I just thought that was kind of interesting. Here are those pool tabs I was telling you about. This is what you would need to crack a beer. Back in the day, they had some of those. This is kind of interesting. That's actually a piece of a toilet. If you're lifting up the toilet, the actual lid, that's a piece of the lid. and this would be the other side of it. So, the toilet would be like that. So maybe George Spahn's toilet. Here's an electrical outlet. And speaking of the toilet, there it is. Now here is actually it's still a work in progress. Actually, I don't want to move it. But that is the toilet, which is funny. So I actually am putting together, I have the rest of it in the garage, but I'm putting together George Spahn's toilet from his house, which is hilarious. And that's actually it right there. So maybe, George Spahn and God knows what other Manson family members, if they took a shit or piss in his house, probably sat on that toilet. And I'll be putting the rest of it together. It's a big box of it in the garage, and it's just a huge project in the making, putting together this toilet. And there's the sink right there, which is hilarious. You know what? Let me put together the sink for you, because this would be kind of funny. Hold on one second. So like this would be something like this. So it's like, so the sink was actually like this. This is probably the sink from the bathroom of George Spahn's house that I found, and I'm putting it back together. As you can see right here, it's the best I could give you. It's in 3 different pieces, but this is probably the sink. So it's Chad Sandifer. If you remember the sink, here's the sink. It just needs to be put back together. Of that, so let me just put that back over here. There's a hanger. And now, as you can see, electrical outlets. There's a couple beer cans or beer bottles. Those are Coors beer bottles. That's I think that's I forgot that green one in the back. What that one was? Some kind of wasn't Sprite or something like that. I can't remember what it was. And you can see the tops of these cans. All the tops of those cans require a church key. You see that? That's how you can date something, is by that church key right there. Let me shorten this down. Here is like a light fixture. Now, here's a good example of here's an ashtray I found at George Spahn's house. I don't know who smoked, but I'm trying to put together this little ashtray that I found. Now, here's a good example of what I was telling you before. When you find pieces like this at the ranch, look for names. That says the Pottering Company, St. Louis, something Street, and then it says Los Angeles. You can look this stuff up now with the internet and stuff like that. You can date stuff like that. So if you ever find anything, look for the dates, look for a name. Here's a piece that I found at the ranch, and you can clearly see this company on here. You can look up this company, which we have, which it dates these companies. Here's like a little cup that I'm putting together. And on it is the name of something. This doesn't have anything on the back of it, but I just thought it was kind of nice with the flower on it. Or maybe it was a piece of the bathroom. This is a rock that I got in Delaware Wash. So that's basically it. As far as maybe one little last tour of stuff. Sink with metal, just all kinds of different stuff. Bullets, wood, and I don't know, stuff to make a fucking house with. I mean, you got pretty much a lot of fucking stuff here that shows that this stuff looks like it's from a ranch. What else would it be from? It doesn't look like it's from a gas station or anything else. It looks Spahn Ranch to me. So if you got any questions, just comment in the box below. And I hope you enjoyed this. I'm going to try to show you everything real quick one more time when we pass through. Ending with the Spahn Ranch chess set. There's some Robert Hendrickson, blue these. The Playboy that Sharon Tate was in. There's a lot of John S. Niles films. I think if you want any of these, you could just go to John S. Niles' Facebook page, or you can just comment in the box below. Here's some Robert Hendrickson. This is Manson, and Robert has signed it. This is the inside the Manson gang, and Robert signed it. And here's Manson for Ann Stewart, and Robert signed it. That's how Robert Hendrickson signed his name. He was so paranoid about actually signing his name, he actually just signed it just like that. Hey, this is Stoner Van Houten here. I hope you enjoyed this little pre-tour. Let me show you some other stuff here. Here's Frank Ritz's card and the address, the original address of Spahn Ranch. Frank Ritz actually owned a card. This is really his real card too. Don't ask me how I got it. I can't tell you. I keep a lot of stuff in this case right here. This is kind of funny. I found that at the ranch. I'm trying to think of a way to put it on here, but there really isn't. It's deteriorated just too much. An actual piece of the ranch on here. I was trying to think of a way to get that on there. There's no way. This is kind of cool. I found this at Spahn Ranch, and this is actually a makeup mascara. This is the original way, or the original bottle from, like, I looked this up, from like the 1930s or some shit. And this was found where George Spahn's house was. See that? Who knows who used this? Maybe Lynette Fromme, maybe one of the girls, who knows, but that was actually there. And that was a hard piece to find too. That wasn't like I just found it. That was a hard piece. There's some Manson hair right there. Back porch tapes. Here's a bottle of dirt. And I found that bottle at Spahn Ranch, and then I put some dirt in it from the ranch. There it is. This is Stoner Van Houten here. I hope you guys enjoyed the relics.